everyone, welcome to my channel. I got a 2004 Yamaha Wolverine here. It's been sitting for about 4 years, and I'm in the process of rebuilding it, and I've got some things pulled off, and I got a couple things working on this. And I had an issue. I searched a couple videos, and didn't really help me, and I ended up doing about everything wrong that could go wrong. And so I want to kind of do a step-by-step here on a pull start, on how to fix it, how to take it apart, how to fix it, how to put it back together. So when this thing was sitting, somebody did me a favor and played with this pull start, and it was left hanging like this. That allowed water to get in there, and then from there it was just all jammed up and wouldn't move. So I've already made the repair. I already fixed this. Like I said, I went through the trial and errors, so I want to make this clean and simple for you guys. So first thing you got to do is obviously take all the bolts out, and I got a couple in here just holding it in place just to show you. To remove it, what I found on this one was I was filled with gunk and rust and metal parts all in here that was holding this and keeping it from spinning. So it's now functioning the way it's supposed to. But what I did initially, when I took it off, the gasket was completely intact. And as I tried to work on this and struggled with it and had the string flopping around and all that, I ended up destroying the gasket, which I didn't have to do. And here's why. This is the first thing you should do when you start to work on these, is get this handle off and out of the way. And all you got to do is go in here and push this out, and you may have to grab it with a pair of pliers and get this knot undone. So once you pull this knot apart, let's see what's the best way to do that. If I grab this here, I can work that down, and there you go. That knot's out, and then I get this handle off and out of the way, and then I'm able to do what I got to do, right? So the mistake that I made initially was I left that handle on there. It was flopping around. I took this nut out. This comes up and out of here, and that gives your spring tension to this device here that kicks out and actually grabs to turn it. So I'll leave that right here. Sitting a little bit better. I should have been a little more prepared for this, but anyway. All right, so when this is out like this and that handle's still on there, this is all under tension. When that's under tension, you're going to end up pulling that whole spring apart underneath there. And if you look down in there, you see that spring. I don't know if you can see it, but it wants to unwind and pop apart on you. Well, that's what I ended up doing. But if you get this disconnected and you let that run in and all the tension comes off, this here will come right out, and your spring sits in there and doesn't fly apart on you. Now, I'm going to show you anyway, just because I went through it and it was a lesson learned. So now, if I pull this apart with that tension under there, and there you go, your spring springs apart on you like that. Now it's completely out of position, and it's got to be put back in. Now this also lent itself to damaging my gasket, but now that the damage is done, I probably still, like I said, if that tension was off and you wound this back, it's going to come right off and right out. But if you do end up with a spring that's sprung, or even if you got a spring that's broken, you could probably get in here and maybe just rebend it a little bit and fix it. So I tried about everything to get this thing back in here. I tried holding it by hand and winding it up and getting it down, getting it small enough to get down in there and fit. And my fingers wouldn't last. I couldn't hold it long enough. I tried winding it up and tie wrapping it and tried to cut them, and it just didn't work. But what I found to be the easiest, I actually took my crimpers and I gave this, because it was fairly rounded and continued like that, I just kind of gave this a little start like that. I gave a little kink. And if you get this back in here and get that hooked on there like that and get this started, you can work this all the way back in and around. Let me just show you, just one loop at a time. Easier said than done, right? So you get that hooked on, and you get your first loop in like that, and then you just keep, once you get one in, you just keep going. You just keep working it around, pushing them loops in front of the next one. So I just need to find a better work platform. It just wasn't going to work sitting up there on the back of the quad. So, but sitting flat like this and being able to work it around, you kind of get the gist of it now. It just keeps kind of, gets a little easier and a little faster as you go. You don't want this to happen, but if it does, at least now you know how to get it back. As you get down here in the bottom, you can kind of just twist that in and finish it. Let's see, hold on, I think I got a little ahead of myself. Let's see here. Pause it. Alright, so I just kind of repositioned my hands here a little bit better so you can see. When you get down to the bottom here like this last little bit here kind of just falls right into place. As long as you got everything sitting, you know, as everything was right when you started, you know. So, as I said before, if you loosen up that rope and you roll back the tension, it's going to just come right up and out and not be an issue. And all it's got to do is catch that hook when you put it back in. Okay, so now you're just going to put this back in, and it's just going to catch, this little hook is going to catch right on there. So you just kind of, when you drop it in, actually, you've got to make sure that the rope is sticking out of this notch here so that you can spin it just like this. So if you get that up on top, and then you drop it in, and then you spin it until it catches tension. There you go. All right. Now, what I did was I heated this up and I squeezed it a little bit with the pliers to help me get it through the hole over here. And I'm going to feed that through the hole while I'm not wrestling the tension. Okay, so now that I got this loop in through the hole here, I just used the screwdriver to kind of push it in a little bit and a pair of needle nose to kind of tug at it and get it out, right? So I'm going to put the cover on. You know, this is still sitting in there loose. And you're going to put those two spring ends towards this mechanism here, right, like that, and then put your nut back on, and this way here when we build tension nothing's going to pop apart on us. Alright, so that's tight. And so now you've got this loop here. You're going to hold on to this and you're going to work this around to build some tension. So I'm going to go around once. I think twice will be plenty. And then I'm going to work this out of the hole the rest of the way and pull that up. There you go. Alright, so we've got tension now and it's working. That little device is popping out and everything's good. So now I just got to fish it through my handle and tie a knot back in it, and it's good to go. You just don't want to lose that though once you got this far. So if you twist it a little bit as you push it through, it'll kind of work its way out the other end. Kind of tightens up the fiber and shrinks it a little bit. And I got it enough to where I can grab it now. There you go. And there there's a metal cap in there, which is right down in there, and that's where your knot's going to set. So I'm just going to tie a knot in the end of this, try and keep it up close to the end. Just pull that, and then pack that down in there. Go, and then that cap goes back on. And this one's old and probably should be replaced. It's a little split and a little cracked, but it'll hold up at least for a little while. I might even throw some tape or something on it or get a new one. But all I got to do now is get this cap worked back in here, and I'll get the pliers and jam this up in there and get that back on, and then mount it back up, and you're good to go. It'll automatically fall in the slots once you put it on there where it needs to go, and you'll be able to pull and start. Alright, so I got the cap back in, and it's all good now. I'm just waiting on a gasket, before I close it all up and finish this. But I hope it helped. I hope you like this. If you did, make sure you click on the like button, give me a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe. And I'm going to work my way through this bike on everything I do and start putting a bunch of videos out there. So if take look at my channel, and I got a CJ7 I'm in the process of rebuilding too, and then when I'm done with that, I'm moving on to my my Honda Magnum. So got a bunch of repairs coming up, and I'm gonna start putting a bunch of videos out there. So I hope you like it. Thanks a lot.